Welcome to the Real Estate Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Lipsky of Break of Day Capital. I talk to leading experts to discuss a wide range of subjects to educate investors on best-in-class practices to build legacy wealth and positively impact communities. Let's jump in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Lipsky with Break of Day Capital. Today on the podcast, we have Trevor McGregor. Trevor has been a real estate investor for over 2 decades and is also a high-performance master coach with over 45,000 one-to-one coaching sessions under his belt. He has worked with clients from around the world, including Fortune 500 executives, doctors, attorneys, high-level real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and even Olympic athletes. They come to Trevor to achieve more success, more wealth, and more freedom faster than they ever thought possible. Most investors rely on gut feelings, shiny brochures, or hype, and that's exactly how people miss red flags and lose money. At Break of Day Capital, we do things differently. We help investors make smarter decisions before the deal ever hits your inbox. From our educational webinars to our Invest Smart book to real tools like our portfolio tracker, we're here to give you the edge most investors don't even know they need. If you've been valuing our podcast and want to take the next step, subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get early access to webinars, new investor tools, and market insights sent straight to your inbox. Break of Day Capital, because smart investing starts before the deal.
Financial advisor Bromley Palamountain of Northwestern Mutual empowers people to make their financial dreams a reality through purpose, clarity, and design. Be sure to check out his links in the show notes. Thanks for joining us, Trevor. Can you start by telling the listeners a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Well, thanks very much. And yes, great to be on your show. Love the work you do. And we run in the same circles. So I know a lot of our mutual friends and colleagues are in the real estate game. And myself, yes, been investing in real estate since 2003. Like a lot of listeners, started small, buying, townhouses, duplexes, fourplexes, single family homes, and then graduated up to apartment buildings and self-storage and land and a whole bunch of other asset classes. But I really do believe that real estate is one of the greatest vehicles for growth on the planet. And when I say growth, I'm not just talking about, growing our capital or our income, but growing our wisdom, our knowledge, our adversity, our, ability to climb over mountains and all those things. And as a high performance coach, I've helped really, I can't even tell you how many people go from where they were starting out to where they are now, sitting on, vast fortunes. Our mutual friend, Joe Fairless, is one of my most famous clients, where he owned 4 single family homes in Texas when I met him. Fast forward to today, he's got 2.7 billion in assets under management. And, he gives back. He just, coaches and speaks and does books and conferences and all those things. And that's really what I feel, Gary, is the secret to living, is once we've had a certain level of success, it's time for us to, give back and share what we can with other people that might be just starting out.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully believe that. And there's no time, you don't have to wait until you achieve massive success. Start early, start often, and get rolling, giving back, because it just pays huge dividends to you, and your life is that much more fulfilling when you're giving back.
Absolutely, no question about it.
So today's episode isn't about real estate investing per se for the listeners out there, but I guarantee you're going to get incredibly value, because if you're listening to this podcast, you do want more success, more wealth, and more freedom. So Trevor, I know you have a framework, if you will. What is the investor wealth architect identity shift?
Well, again, it's a great question. And it really comes back to, the strongest force inside all of us is the need to be consistent with our identity. So if we feel that we're, a W-2 employee, we're going to be that. If we feel that we are a real estate investor or entrepreneur, we're going to, go along those lines and figure it out. So part of the goal as a high performance coach is to get people to start thinking and behaving in ways that are consistent with their higher identity. Kind of like yourself, you've been successful in real estate for a very long time. And I don't want people to take 10 or 15 years to figure it out, when, part of my secret sauce and part of the thing that I learned while working with and for Tony Robbins for over half a decade as one of his top coaches is that, success is 80% psychology and then 20% mechanics are what you do. So as a high performance coach, I'm here to help you with the mechanics, no question, but you can't start with that until you start to get your identity right as an investor or as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think years ago, when I was looking to grow my business, someone said, like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And that helped me create a framework of like what success in this business looks like, and being that person versus, I think a lot of us go through that kind of what's the word, like when you don't feel like you're good enough yet, identity
Yes.
versus, and so it's like picturing it and being that person that you want to become now and not waiting for that, mysterious day to appear.
That's really it. Sometimes, we don't feel we're good enough, we're smart enough. Sometimes we don't think we deserve it. But I'm telling you that abundance is your birthright. You've got just as much as opportunity to go out there and do it in real estate or in business or as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur as anybody else. And so sometimes, we have to really work on what we call the saboteur mind, because the saboteur is like that little voice inside of you. It's like a little gremlin that, is trying to throw you under the bus, versus the polar opposite of that, which is something, Gary, we call your wise sage. That's SAGE. So on this side, we've got the saboteur telling you all the reasons why it's going to be tough, or you're going to lose money, or you're going to lose other people's money, or whatever it is. And on this side, that success leaves clues, and that real estate is one of the greatest wealth vehicles on the planet. And that if you do the right things in the right order, at the right time, for the right reasons, in the right market, with the right fundamentals, you can be wildly successful. So again, we're fighting that battle of which one you're going to listen to. You're going to listen to the saboteur mind, or you're going to listen to the sage mind. And I can tell you even personally that they both still exist in me, but I don't spend as much time with the saboteur as I do saying, thank you for that, but I'm going to step into my sage and I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to take intelligent and inspired action. How does that land with you?
Oh, 100%. And yes, we all face that, that battle, that internal battle. And yeah, even in the last couple of weeks, I've had to like say, okay, control the controllables. That I've spent a few minutes, in the negative. Let's go positive and focus on taking action and solutions, because it does me no good to dwell in something I can't control.
That's it. And I think a lot of people, and let's be honest, it's been a tougher time in real estate through, say, 2024, 2025, we're now into 2026, than perhaps it was in 2017, 2018, 2020, even through COVID. But I'm telling you that the facts don't count when you're committed. What does that mean? It means that you got to get up, you got to dust yourself off, and you got to move beyond that imposter syndrome to a place where everything is cyclical, right? We know that after a tough time or a tough winter comes spring. I guarantee it. And in spring, we plant new seeds. In spring, we go look at new deals. In spring, we talk to different brokers. And then from spring, we step into summer. And summer can be a short period or a long period, but with the intention of harvesting in the fall, right? So if we really believe that, some people will freeze to death in winter, other people will put on snowshoes and build a snowman and have a snowball fight and have fun. So at the end of the day, it's how you see through, the lens you're seeing through and the headphones you're listening through to understand, are you a victim to what's going on in real estate, or are you going to choose to be a victor on your way to victory? And again, that's what I help people with at Trevor McGregor Coaching, is helping people get out of the weeds of winter and plant seeds so those seeds can grow in fertile soil and really, ultimately optimize for what you want, which is money, freedom, right? All of the things that we're investing in real estate for in the first place. But does that land with you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You bet.
I think a lot of investors know what to do, but don't do it consistently. So how do you get them to do that?
Well, there's the secret sauce right there, big guy, because I'm telling you, after doing 45,000 coaching sessions and investing in real estate for 2 decades, I'd have to be an idiot at this stage not to see that there are 5 reasons why people fail to scale consistently. I'll say it again. There's 5 reasons why. people fail to scale and do it consistently. And let's walk through them very quickly here, because the first one, again, is limiting beliefs, right? We've all got these cobwebs in our head that the market's not right, or the government's not right, or interest rates aren't right, or the competition's getting the deals instead of me. I mean, pick your favorite flavor of excuses. But until we remove those limiting beliefs, we're not going anywhere. So that's number one. Number two is what I call a lack of a strategic plan. That is, more people spend time planning their trip to Mexico a year than they do their business or their life. So we've got to take a look at, well, where are you today? Where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? And then we got to start reverse engineering what that's going to look like. So once we get rid of number one, your limiting beliefs, and number two, we create the strategic plan. The third reason why people fail to scale, Gary, is a lack of systems for support. Right? A lack of systems. That is, are you creating systems? Are you talking to brokers? Do you have the right professional pillars like insurance agents or landscapers or plumbers? I mean, some people are really good at finding deals. Some people are good at underwriting deals. Some people are really good at raising capital for deals. Other people want to run the asset. But really, what should you be doing? And then what should you be delegating out to other people around you, whether it's business partners or other people in the right seats on the bus. And there's this little thing called AI now that we can leverage to also help with those systems. But again, those are the first three. So before I go to 4 and 5, any thoughts or comments on limiting beliefs, a lack of a strategic plan, or a lack of systems for support?
Yeah, I think a lot of us have faced that. And one of the books that I recommend based on that is the Who Not How book, because a lot of people, including myself, particularly as an entrepreneur, you want to do too many things. And man, if I could just get an expert in whatever area I need, it frees me up tremendously to focus on what I do well. And the fruits of that pay tremendous dividends for the company.
Well, you said it, and I'll absolutely put a big exclamation mark on that. In fact, I'm working with Dr. Benjamin Hardy myself right now, and it's not only, who not how, but it's really leaning into what we call your ZOG, which is your zone of genius, right? There are things that Gary should do. There are things that Gary should delegate, right? Same with Trevor. But at the end of the day, you're looking for who's, but you're also looking for something that he calls super who's. And a super who is worth 10 who's. So maybe they're super at raising capital. They're super at running the asset. They're super at underwriting. And you only need a handful of people on your team to combine with your zone of genius to make sparks fly and magic happens. So that's number 3. And there's 2 left. Stay with us here, because number 4 is a big one. And I find that another reason why people fail to scale is poor time management, right? Poor time management. We all have 168 hours a week. And now we sleep for some of those hours, we eat, we pay the bills, we play with the kids. But really, what are you doing with your real estate time? And are you doing what's important or urgent? And most people, believe it or not, are working on what is urgent instead of carving out time to work on what's truly important. So that's something I help people with their calendar, their scheduling, how to optimize and maximize it. And then the final one is really, really what we call, a lack of execution and staying accountable. So when you think about number 5, if you're not out there taking intelligent and inspired action, and you're not having a coach or someone else keep you accountable to doing it, you're fooling yourself. And so ultimately, those are the 5 things that if you or I or the listener can take what I call a personal inventory on, just check in. Do you need some work on your limiting beliefs? Do you need to create a strategic plan? Do you need to create systems that support that plan? Do you need to optimize your calendar and your time management? And do you need to get out there and execute and stay accountable? So for anybody that is a little bit further behind in terms of where they are this year from where they want to be, I would say put those into a values hierarchy of which one you really need to work on first, what's second, what's third, what's fourth, what's fifth, and get after it.
That's gold. If you're listening and you just improve one of those categories, man, you're just going to rocket fuel your year. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And again, success leaves clues. And again, as an investor myself, and I've got my zone of genius, but I've also figured out what my soft spots or my weak spots are. And now I've delegated those out to other people where they just love doing that work.
Nice, nice. Are you using VAs, or are you really leaning into AI now? How are you maximizing your time these days?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's a little bit of all of the above. Ultimately, most of my, portfolio is across the US. So Texas, Florida, Carolinas, Nashville, certain markets there. So we use a lot of, I've got partners, and obviously I'm in some deals myself, but I'm an LP in a lot of partnerships as well, where, I really don't just bet on the market. I bet on the jockey that's on the horse. So a lot of the people that I'll invest with need to be, real specialists in their market. They will have had to gone full cycle in their market. They'd have to have a great reputation, part of their integrity and all of that. So that's what I look for on that side. In terms of helping us grow and navigate and put out fires and all of that, it really boils down to a couple of VAs and then some really, really good leverage of AI now, where we're starting to do things slightly different today than maybe we even did a year or two ago. And I'm no expert in it as of yet, but every day, and given all of the stuff that's coming out now, you get a little bit closer to learning something every week. And then over the course of a month or 3 months, it compounds. So that's what we're up to.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of exponential growth that AI is doing these days. What you did 6 months ago, and it took like a month, and now you can do it like in a day or half a day, and it's unbelievable.
It really is. And again, I think for people that are afraid of it, Gary, or people that are a little hesitant, they're going to get left behind because it's not going to slow down. It's only going to ramp up. And that's not to scare people. It's just to say that we're going through one of the greatest times of change in human history. And when we look at autonomous driving, we look at robotics, we look at AI, we look at blockchain, we look at everything being registered, and potentially even moving to cryptocurrency. It's not a time to stick your head in the sand. It's a time to say, I'm in either a traditionalist that might not want all of that to come as quickly as it's coming, but again, you don't control it, right? It's a big world out there, and it's going to come so fast and so hard that by 2030 or 2032 or 2035, things are going to look radically different in business and in real estate.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. As an entrepreneur, as an investor, we've all taken punches to the gut. How did you go from losing everything in a failed business to building a cash flowing portfolio?
Well, again, when I first started out, I was really a big believer that I wanted to be rich and successful young. And so I took a whole bunch of money. I cashed in all of my savings, cashed in my 401k, and I even convinced my own parents to take out a second six-figure mortgage on the family home. And I dumped it into this expansion plan. This was pre-real estate. This was in the hospitality business, and it imploded. I ended up losing all of that money. And so there I was down and out, and I had to get up, dust myself off. And I was married with kids at the time. And somebody said to me, you'll never figure it out on your own. You need a coach or a mentor or a teacher or someone else to help you. And at that time, I found a coach, and he was amazing. And he said, Trevor, what's happened to you in losing all this money, doesn't define you, but you got to get up, dust yourself off, and keep on going. And I said, but I don't know how I'm going to pay back all these failed loans. And he said, well, have you ever thought of investing in real estate? And I said, real estate? I don't know too much about real estate because I was 29 at the time. He said, you can borrow other people's money, buy properties, fix them up, refinance them or sell them or rent them. And that's exactly what I was doing. And I was in Vancouver, Canada at the time, which was seeing tremendous appreciation. And that's when I started to really collect properties and refi them and just keep doubling down and keep working at them. And then eventually, not only did I make enough money to pay back all of those failed loans, including my parents, but I had a very large, sizable, established cash flowing real estate portfolio in just 2.5 to 3 years. And that's when people started to come to me, Gary, saying, Trevor, how did you do this? And I'd say, well, I'll show you. Let me pull out my blueprint. And I'd show them. And then they'd go out there and buy rental properties. And that's when I think the coaching bug bit. And it was right after that I went to work with and for Tony Robbins as one of his top real estate coaches on his team and meeting a lot of people from the US that were into everything from apartment syndication, mobile home parks, assisted living. Some were flipping land. And I kind of became the guy that would bring mindset plus my experience in real estate to other people. And that's when, things took off. I worked with and for Tony till 2017. And then in 2018, I opened TMI, or Trevor McGregor International. And that's really been my life ever since then. So I continue to buy real estate, but I also love pouring back into people by taking all of my experience, good and bad, and helping them get clear on what they need to do to optimize and maximize their journey.
Nice. If you listeners out there, if you don't have a coach or never had a coach, I highly recommend it. It really brings out the best in you, shines some light on maybe your blind spots, puts together a plan. I don't care if you're achieving at a very high level, there's always someone that could take you further. And I've seen it from super successful people, still having a coach and swear by it. So definitely recommend it.
Yeah, again, in all transparency, I don't just talk the talk. I walk the walk. I have two coaches, Gary, and they kick my butt regularly because, I don't profess to know it all. And there's always another level. There's always something new. There's always a thought or a distinction. And I'm telling you, you're right. It doesn't matter if you're new to real estate or if you're an intermediate in real estate, or maybe you're an expert. Those blind spots, they're called scotomas, are things we all have. It's almost like the inside of the jar can't read the outside of the label. But having a coach or an accountability partner or somebody that is co-creating the journey with you is a lot more palatable. And I'll tell you this, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah. And we're all human. We get stuck in ruts at times or inside our head or whatever it is. And so, having someone there for you to be like, get you back on that path and moving forward is a great thing.
It really is. And again, I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't hire that coach when I was, struggling or when I was down and out. And again, it was an investment and I didn't have a lot of money. I did have time, but I had to come up with the money. But again, it's like, Warren Buffett says, the best investment you can make is in yourself. That's what I've done. And now I've helped others do the same.
Nice. Well, I was going to say, do you have a favorite quote or a book? I mean, that was a quote, and I know success leaves clues, but do you have something that you recommend to our listeners that they should check out?
Well, absolutely. There's a couple of loops you're opening for me as a high performance coach, but I'm a quote guy, and I love Tony Robbins' coach. His name was Mr. Jim Rohn, and he has my favorite quote from all time, and he says this, that it's not the winds that blow on you that will determine where you end up. It's the set of the sail. And I just love that. I'll say it again. It's not the winds that blow on you that will determine where you end up. It's the set of the sail. And we got a lot of wind blowing on us. We got the political wind. We got the economic wind. We got the interest rate wind. We've got, the operational wind. We've got supply chain management issue wind. We've got war wind. We got a lot of wind blowing on us. But it's not those winds that blow on us that will determine where we end up as investors. It's the set of the sail. So that's the first quote that I absolutely love. And the second one comes from the book Think and Grow Rich, where Napoleon Hill said this, that adversity brings with it the seed of equivalent advantage. And for anyone that's not heard that, I'll say it again, that adversity brings with it the seed of equivalent advantage. What does that mean? Well, it means that when we go through adversity, there's also a gift in it. And if we go back to my story, when I invested all that money and cashed in my 401k and even had my parents take out that loan, when I went through that and lost all of it, it sure didn't feel good at the time. But again, I would have never become the investor that I am today, or the coach, or the husband, or the father that I am if I didn't go through that tough time. And that's where, again, I really do believe that if we're going to be grateful for all of the good times in our life, there might be an opportunity to be grateful for the challenges or the hiccups or the speed bumps, because that's where we grow. That's where we learn. That's where we become who we're meant to become. And I know that you've had some ups and downs in your journey. But again, as long as you keep going and the law of averages is in play, the goal is to get better so that you have more ups than downs. What do you think, Gary?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. when you're in the thick of it, obviously you're not that grateful. Afterwards, then you could be a lot more grateful.
That's it. And there's a lot of wind blowing on us. There's a lot of wind blowing on me right now, on my clients, on you. But you know what? The stronger the wind blows, the more that we'll adjust the sail to catch it and go in the right direction.
And the stronger the wind is meaning that there's so much more great opportunity just around the corner as well,
Correct. That's it. That's where I go back to there's a reason for every season. Some people are in what we call the metaphor of winter, and it's not fun. But if you just keep going, you're going to eventually get into spring into summer, and summer into the harvest of fall.
Well, Trevor, I really enjoyed our conversation today. Please tell the listeners where they can find out more about you and TMI.
Well, thank you very much. Again, great job. And obviously, we've known each other for a very long time and run in similar circles. And for anyone that is a real estate investor that's looking to get some help to create more impact and more income, it's pretty easy to find me. You can head over to my website, which is trevormcgregor.com, and there you can find out a little bit about my coaching. I also have some phenomenal coaches that I work with underneath me across the US. So whether you work with me or one of my team members, it's available. And I've also got a special gift for you and the listener, where if you go to trevormcgregor.com/real estate, that's trevormcgregor.com/real estate, you can pick up my free mini audio version of all of my coaching tools and frameworks called Rich Beyond Belief. And it's exactly what I use to help some of my highest paying clients explode their results in a good way. And I'm offering it to you and the listener as a way of saying thank you for, showing up and listening to today's show, and to really doubling down on your identity, who you are, what you want, why you want it. As you start to listen to these mini audio recordings, it'll start to give you some of the frameworks that I've used to reach, some of the success that I've been able to achieve.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. We'll put it in the show notes. Thank you so much, Trevor. It was a pleasure having you on. This is Gary Lipsky signing off. I'll be back next week with another informative episode on the Real Estate Investor Podcast. To all of our listeners, thanks for joining us. And if you like this episode, please head over to iTunes or Stitcher and like, subscribe, and leave a review, as it will help us reach more people. And if you'd like to learn more about what we do at Break of Day Capital, head over to our website at breakofdaycapital.com and sign up for our newsletter and fill out our investor application. We'll talk to you next week.